I dropped it in Classroom last week. So if anyone was able to do the homework, let me know, but I know I promise you guys will go over it. So when you are in Classroom, except for data analytics, yeah, I think I dropped the homework here. First Excel assignments, and then, okay, perfect. So I see someone did perfect. Okay. All right. So let's go over it real quick because today, so we'll finish real quick cleaning and preparation, and then today we're going to do essential functions, okay, in Excel. All right, so yeah, and that's not where we are. Yeah, we will start here. So we have a bunch of functions to learn. We'll probably go through a few of them today, and as we build up, we'll go through everything else. Okay, so the basic function we'll use today after we finish the preparation that we're supposed to do. So we'll do the sum function, we'll do the average function, we'll do the count function, we'll do the minimum and the maximum. Okay, those are what I'm planning to do today. And also, I'm going to show you guys how to use slicers. Okay, so let's move to our data set. So this is where we were last week. We had the names here, and then there were some myths that were in front of some of the names that we were supposed to dispose of using substitutes. Okay, so to do that, we go ahead and create one column, and then we're going to use our substitute function. The text that we're trying to change, of course, we're going to pick our first cell. It's actually A2. The old text is miss. The new text is empty, and right there. And then double click here. Make sure that this will remove all the miss. Okay, and then to do that, you can just create a filter real quick to see if there is any name that starts with miss. Okay. So all the miss have been removed. Okay. All right, real quick. So we did that. Now we have to copy and paste as value so that we won't have to deal with everything. So you select the column, Control copy, Control Shift V for the values. Okay. So that is set. Now remember what we did when you change it, when you remove some of the words, there's a space that stays. So let's use trim to remove that space, and then we will do text to column. Okay. All right. So for the sake of cleanliness, all right. So let's use the trim function. Excel will go ahead and trim everything from us by removing any extra space. Okay, so now it should be done. And then Control copy, Control Shift V. Okay. So now we have everything here. Okay, and then the last step that we were supposed to do was to split these into two different columns. Okay, so I'm going to insert my column and I'm going to insert an extra one. Okay, so now remember we used the function text to column to do that, the button text to column, but you can also do it with a formula. Okay, I'm going to show you guys to show it to you guys later on, but for the sake of this one, let's use text to column. So we're going to select the whole column. Okay, this text to column, deleted, next, and then here for every instance of space, split it. Okay, so now we have it split. Of course, this one is not needed in the instruction I left. So to delete this column, we put first name and then last name. Okay. All right. So our data set is pretty much ready. Okay. So the next step here, which is the last step of our cleaning, which is the last step of our cleaning and preparation, is the billing amount. You see there's only numbers here. So what we want to do, we want to format this column as a currency. Okay, and then to do that, on the Home tab, under Number, you see it gives you different formats here for the numbers. Okay, so this one, we want to format it as currency. We're going to select the whole column. So to select the whole column, but before I continue, let me know if I shared this file with you guys.
Yes, I think you did last week.
And I'm talking about this one where I give
Oh,
the
okay.
Excel.
No, not this one, no.
Not this one. Okay.
Yeah. Wow,
All
this
right.
is
So
so useful. Excel shortcuts. That would be nice.
yes, yes. I'm going to let me share it to you with you guys because I was under the impression that I sent it, but let me share with the team here. Okay. So on the chats, I'm going to drag and drop. Okay. So this will be very useful as you work, you use Excel. So select, you can do two things. Okay, you can either use Control Shift and the down arrow, or you can just use Control Space, but you have to be on that specific column. Okay, once you do that, you click on the currency, I mean the dollar sign here, and then it will give you the currency. So I know there is a way you can add the currency for the euro or the British pounds. It really depends on what you're really looking for. Okay. So now that this is done, our data set is pretty much clean. So from here, I do not think we'll be dealing with any issue whatsoever. But before moving on, let's do last check to see if there's any blanks in different columns. So let's see in the first column if there's any blanks. Okay, so this is an extra step. It's not really required, but for the sake of, not having to deal with some headaches later on. So you gotta make sure that there's no blanks. The dates. Okay, doctor name, other than blanks, no. Hospital, no. Okay. Insurance provider, no blank. Okay. All right, so I guess we are all set. So what I always do whenever data set like this, I always copy and have a backup. Okay. So in case something changes, we have a backup to go back at. So to do that, here on the tab, you right click, move or copy, and then you click here, create a copy. Okay. So we'll create a copy and then we'll just call it backup. Okay, so this one will stay there. You won't touch it, won't do anything to it. Okay, you can even give it a color. So to do that, you right click, tab color, and then you can pick anything here. All right, so now let's go back to our main data set. I told you guys today we're going to do a few things. The first thing we want to do here is how to use slicers, okay? What are slicers? So the slicers really allows you to easily filter data, you know, instead of having, instead of using, you know, this filter that we have here, we're going to, it has buttons, and those buttons allows you to, you know, filter your data set depending on what you really need. Okay, so how do you insert slicers in your data set? Okay, so when you go to insert, okay, insert tab in the ribbon, and then you come all the way to filters here, there is slicers, and then there's timeline. So when I do a click here, it doesn't show anything. Okay, so meaning there's no connection. But for it to work, we have to have this data set formatted as a table. Okay, so now to do that, let's go ahead and create again another. We'll copy this data set. Okay, create a copy. You click OK. And then we're going to call this new tab slicers. Okay. Now let me put it slicers, and then let's go. I mean, pick any color you want. I'm gonna pick orange, and then for our main data set, I'm gonna pick green. Okay, so now I'm working on this data set. I'm gonna call it slicers. Okay, so let's format it as a table. How do you format as a table? On the home tab, under styles, there's format as a table. So now to do that, just put your cursor anywhere in your data set, format as table, and then you just pick any table you want. Okay, I'm gonna pick this one. Make sure to always click my table as headers so that it will count the very first row as your header. Okay, once I do that, now I have a really nice and neat table, and this will allow me to insert my slicers. Okay, so I'm here, insert slicers. Okay, so now what does it do? Why do you need the slicers? Okay, so as you can see here, we have many different columns here that can be filtered out. Okay, you can filter all the patients by blood type. You can filter by medical condition, by the doctor, by the hospital, by the insurance provider, the admission type, whether it was an emergency, or you can also filter by the kind of medication they had and the test result. Okay. So now let's go ahead and insert our slicers. Okay. So now that is already selected, when I go to insert, I click on slicer and I have everything here. So I'm going to pick only blood type, medical condition. Let's pick insurance provider, and then let's say admission type. Okay, I'm only needing those slicers. So when you do that, these more tables are going to appear. Okay. All right, so now let's just put them outside our data sets so we can be able to use them easily. Okay, so scroll to the right. You have your blood type here. You have your medical condition. In fact, let's put different columns. Okay, so when you click on the slicer, okay, this extra tab will show up called slicers, and from here you can literally change the color of the slicer. You can add divide everything in different columns, and then you can change the height and the width. Okay, so here I have my blood type. Okay, medical condition, I'm gonna leave it as blue. And let me put 2 columns so it's nice and neat. Okay, I have my insurance providers here. All right, so let's leave it like this. Last but not least, I have the admission type. Okay, so once you do it like this, you have everything done. So you can change the color and everything. So what the slicers do, okay, what the slicers do, for example, let's say on your data sets, you want to filter everyone that has diabetes as a medical condition. So once you click on diabetes, as you can see, the data set, Excel went ahead and filter all your data sets to only show people that have medical condition as diabetes as medical condition. And the only way to see it when you come to medical condition, everything shows as diabetes, 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 and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what slicers allows you to do. It's very, and then to cancel it, to clear it, you just click there and then it will clear it. Okay, now you can do it for every multiple, you can use multiple slicers. Okay, let's say you work for Cigna as an insurance provider, and then from Cigna, your supervisor asks you to give him the list of patients that have the blood type of B+, and that is diabetes as a medical condition, and that were admitted using the emergency like call 911. To do that is very simple. You're first going to filter by Cigna, so the table will be filtered for the insurance provider Cigna, and then you can click B+, the blood type. Again, it started with Cigna, then B+ as the blood type, and then you click on diabetes. It's still on filtering. Okay, it started with Cigna, blood type B+, medical condition diabetes, and then our last filter was to use the one that came in as emergency. Now, as you can see, within 4 clicks of buttons, you have a really nice and neat data set that shows you all the names, name and last name of people that have Cigna as an insurance provider with blood type B plus, medical condition, diabetes, and then that came in as an emergency call, aka 911. Okay, so this is what slicers do. It's very fast forward, you know, if you don't want to go into the whole calculation, you can just go ahead and use your slicers to have a subset of the data that you want, okay? And then you can go ahead and clear it, okay? So one last thing I wanted to add here is the slicer is only, you can also use multiple select, okay? And then to do that, you have to click those little OK mark, or, you know, right here. So once you click that, this allows you to do the multiple selects, okay? So now I selected all the blood type that are A plus and B plus, okay? And then, of course, I do that to clear all my selected filters, okay? So now, before we jump into something else, do I have any question? Yeah. All right. So now that we did that, let's do one last thing here before moving to our functions. So now we know how to use the slicers. Again, we're gonna come back to slicers later on when we build our dashboards. You know, we're going to use our slicers again, but this is how to use slicers right off your data set instead of using the table. Okay, so one last thing. If you want to make these slicers fixed so that they don't have to move around, you can do that by selecting all of them. You can right click, you come to size and properties, and then under position and layout, click disable and moving. So once you do that, you cannot move your slicers anymore. They're like set in stone. Okay. So this will allow you whenever something happens, so these won't move. Okay, they're all done. Okay. And then to make this table even more nicer, you can remove the grid lines. So these lines in the back hands, okay, just remove it so it stays blank. And then the last thing I want to do here, I want to freeze the top row. Okay, why do you want to freeze the top row? Someone will ask is, okay, let me first unfreeze. So, you know, when you scroll down without unfreezing the top row, okay, of course you can see it all the way up here, but when I freeze mine here, okay, using this one, freeze top row, as I scroll down, I have my top row that does not move. Even if I'm moving everything else, my top row is still there, nice and neat. Okay. All right, so we'll leave this as is. Okay, our slicers are in there. Okay, what happened here? That's my table. Okay. All right, so yes, this one's still there. So this table is ready. Just leave it like this, don't move it. You can always come back to it and then play with your slicers. Okay, you can do with everything else, with the test results, the medication. It really is up to you. Okay, that's how you use slicers right off the bat. Okay, so now let's move to the exciting stuff in Excel. So we'll start using our function today. Okay, so for that, again, I want you guys to create a new tab. Okay, so create a new sheet. I mean, you come in the plus sign, you create a new sheet, you double click on it and call it accounting. Okay, and then give it any color you want. I'm going to give it color purple. Okay, so as a data analyst, you have a whole data set of 55,000 rows, and you just want to know the highest level of numbers. Okay, but the highest level of numbers, I mean, you want to know maybe what's the total billing amount that was spent, how many patients are in there, what is the highest that was spent, what is the lowest that was spent, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now doing such calculation in the same worksheet as your data set is not usually a good practice, okay? Because first of all, your data set end up being, your worksheet end up being crowded, and it will probably get confusing if someone else gets to use it. So as a data analyst, what you can do, if you want to do everything that is accounting, you just go ahead and create a new worksheet in Excel, and all your calculations are going to happen from this worksheet. Okay, so in your new accounting worksheet, anywhere here, just type total billing amount, and then type total number of patients, type highest billing amount, and then you type lowest billing amount. Okay, and let's add one more, average amount spent by patients. Okay, so now that you have it, let's do a quick formatting. So now I'm going to merge and center all of them here. Okay, and then select all. All right, so now I want to know what is the total of billing amounts that was spent. Okay, so as a data analyst, you already know your data set, and then you look into it, you know that the billing amount is in column K, and then you know by now we have about 55,501 row. Okay, so how do you calculate it? Because you are like, oh, okay, we are in a different worksheet, and then how am I going to calculate something that is in another worksheet? Okay, it's fairly easy. Okay, to do that, first of all, let me fix this name here, because this space probably will create some confusion. Okay, so let's go ahead, calculate the sum of all that was spent in the healthcare data set. Okay, and then from here, we're going to build up. Okay, let's go ahead. So I'm going to type equal sum. Okay, so now when I do that, there's no number, okay, to add. So how do I tell Excel to go into the healthcare data worksheet and then to make the calculation from there, but to show the result here, okay? Now, you're going to type the name of worksheet, add, I think that's exclamation mark, not question mark, exclamation point. I mean, if that's, yeah, you add that. And then now you're telling Excel, I'm doing the sum, but I'm going to get my data or my numbers from the healthcare worksheet, healthcare data. Okay, so from there, I'm going to type K2 to K. Okay, I think is this one. That's the correct number. Close my parenthesis. So when I click enter, it gives me this number. Okay. No, just leave it like this for now. Okay, so what did this formula do? This formula went on healthcare data worksheets in column K, where there is the billing amount, and sum everything from cell K2 all the way to cell 55,501. Okay, so this is what it did. Let me actually, there's 55,101. Okay, so this is what it did. I summed everything from there. Okay, and pay attention, we're gonna build from here and it may move a bit fast. Okay, so now you want to know the total number of patients. Okay, again, we're going to use our formula, we'll type it here, but Excel will make the calculation based on data from the healthcare worksheet. Okay, so how do I know how many patients are in there? Okay, of course you can tell yourself, okay, there's 55,500 row, so there's 55,500 patients. Of course, that's correct, but let's fix that here. Okay, there's a trick. So you're going to use the count function. Okay, you type healthcare data, that's where you want to go, and then let's just use maybe column B, okay, to count all the values from column B. That would give you the number of patients. So let's say B2 to B55 55501. Okay, now it gives you 0. Okay, why does it give you 0? Let me pull my Excel and my presentation here. As you can see, count function only counts for numeric entries, numbers, okay? And then count A counts everything that is not a number. So empty cells, text, everything else, okay? So for the purpose of here, since we want to count the value in column B and it's all text, instead of using the count function, we're going to use the count A function. And then once you do that, and then you click. Now it gives you the total number of patients. Okay. So we are continuing here. Now we want to know what is the highest billing amount and what is the lowest billing amount. Okay. So to do that, again, back in our presentation, we have the max function and then the min function. So the max function return usually the highest value, and then the min function will return the smallest value. Okay. So now here I want to know the highest amount that was paid by any patient, and then the lowest amount that was paid by any patient. Okay. So for the highest amount, I'm going to use my max function. Always let Excel know that I'm using everything from the healthcare worksheet. And I remember all the billing amounts were in column K. So I'm going to use column K, K55501. Okay. So 55,764.28. That's the highest amount that was paid for as a medical bill. Okay. So now, can anyone help me how to calculate the lowest billing amount?
I can.
Yeah.
I'll take a stab at it. So here you put equal min,
Okay.
open the bracket, and then from healthcare data, exclamation.
Yeah.
Exclamation, and then from what is that column? The same column?
Yes.
Yes. So it will be I didn't see the first one, but that column from K2 to K555501.
Perfect. Yes, that's about it. So as you can see here, the lowest amount that was paid is actually a negative balance. And I don't know how it ended up being a negative balance. Wherever that data was pulled from, they probably have the answer. But yes, this is the lowest amount that was paid here. Okay.
How do you know that? Let me ask.
Go ahead.
How do you know it's a negative balance? Because of the bracket?
Yes.
The parentheses?
Yes. When Excel gives you a number and there are parentheses in that number, it means that that number is below zero. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate
No
it.
problem. Yeah. No problem. So this is the negative balance, okay, the lowest amount. Okay. So now let's try one more here. So I want to know the average amount that was spent by patients. Anyone want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, I think it's the same one as the above. You just put the max, it equals max, then you put the same information. Equal sign, then max.
No, this one, it won't be the max. It'll be the average.
Oh, yeah. Average. Okay, my bad. Equals average, sorry.
Okay.
Average. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, there's an average function.
Then from healthcare data, exclamation. K2.
Okay.
To K5501, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, class. I like that you guys are participating. It's really encouraging me. So thank you so much. So yeah, this is the average amount spent. So it's around $25,000, which is quite a lot, which is a lot of money to spend on healthcare, on medical bill. Okay, so now that we have our small data set here, total amount, total billing amount, total number of patients, and everything. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and do a quick refresher on conditional formatting. So we're going to highlight every number that is above 0 to be green, and every number that is below 0 to be red. Or we can just leave everything above 0 to be black, and then everything below 0 to be red. Okay, so as a refresher, to do that, you just select your data set, go to conditional formatting. Okay, always make sure you come to manage rule. So this will allow you to have many different rules. You click on new rule. Okay, all right, so cells that contain their value. Okay, how did I do that again? No, that's not the one. Okay, so we want to know, of course, is the cell value that I'm looking for. And then here, I want everything that is less than 0. Okay, I come here, format, and then here you have many different things that you can do here. Okay, I'm just gonna come font, color, and then click this red here. Okay, okay, so to make sure it works, if I click apply, so everything below 0 shows this red here. And then let's just put everything that is above 0. So everything that is greater than 0. Okay, so I'm gonna come to format, color, green. This is too light. Green. Okay, apply. Okay. All right, that's how you do it. Okay, and then this is for refresher. Okay, to allow you to remember how to do it. And then let's just call our table totals. Okay, and I don't think I showed you guys how to use this merge and center. So merge and center, when you type something in a cell and you select a certain number of cells, when you click merge and center, it will just select all those cells as one and put your whatever you wrote in the center. Okay, so if I come here and I click total and I come all the way here and I come to merge and center, so as you can see, just selected the whole thing and put total in the middle, but I don't want that. I just want that from here, merge and center. Okay, another refresher, how to put borders. You select your whole data set. You click on all borders and create borders, and then you can add one outside border, and then that's it. Okay, so that was a quick refresher for you guys to kind of see how we do that. Okay, so now let's do the great things here. Okay, so now I want to do everything for the insurance provider. Okay, so we're going to do any accounting. You are a data analyst, and then you have, actually this last will allow us, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different insurance provider. And then you want to do some accounting concerning those insurance provider. Okay, so how are we going to do it? Okay, it's very, no, let me stop saying it's very simple. It's doable. Okay, so I can type my title here, insurance providers accounting. I'm just typing it in there. Okay, so now here, let's type the name of our insurance provider. So we have Aetna, Blue Cross, Aetna, Cross. We have which one? Cigna, Medicare, and United Healthcare. Let me do this purpose. Cigna, Medicare, United Healthcare. There are a couple of typos that I did on purpose here, and I'll show you guys why. So for each insurance provider, I want to know what was the total amount spent. So billing amount. I want to know the number of patients. I want to know the maximum amount spent, highest. I'm just gonna keep it simple. What is the lowest amount spent per patient? I want to know also the average spent. Okay. So again, this will end up being a table letter. Okay. So I want the billing amount, the number of patients, the highest dollar value, the lowest, and then the average. Okay. So how do I do that? We already know by now we're using all the data from the healthcare data set. And then this is how we retrieve our data. But now there's another detail here, which is the insurance. So here we did overall. Now we want to break them down by insurance. Okay. So here we're going to use, sure if I have them here. No, we're going to use the sum function, the average function, and the count function, but we're going to use if in there. Why if? Because if will satisfy the condition to retrieve data from the specific insurance. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right at it. So now, how do I do that? Okay, let's make a quick glance. My data set, I know that insurance are in column J, and then the billing amounts are in column K. All right, so let's go ahead and find out the total billing amount for Aetna. I'm gonna type sum, okay? Telling Excel, okay, Excel, please go look for data in the healthcare data set from the healthcare data table. Now, something is missing here because if I do some healthcare data and I put K2 and K55501, okay, it's going to give me the same number as here, which I don't want. I want from Aetna, not overall, okay? So this is where I'm introducing this function called SUMIF. Okay, what does SUMIF do? SUMIF will sum everything from a specified criteria. Okay, so here, what do I want to sum? The good thing with Excel, when you type a function, it will tell you what you need to put in there. So the range, the criteria, and then the sum range. Okay, so I want the total by insurance provider. Okay, so the column where the insurance provider are, that's my range. Okay, that's the column where all the insurance provider are, that's my range. So here it's column J. So when I click column J here, this is my range. Okay, that's my range. And then the criteria now is the name of the insurance that I'm trying to filter. And then the sum range is our billing amount range where we have K2 to K55501. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go to healthcare data. Okay, so my range is J2 to J55501. Okay, so now selected my range. Now I'm telling Excel to go in range J2 to J55501 and to look for everything that is Aetna. Okay. Now, once I do that, for the sum range, I also have to specify Excel to go into my data set, my worksheet healthcare data, and calculate everything from K2 to K55501. Okay, so once I click, something is missing here, something's missing. Okay, it's not. Okay, something is missing. No, I think everything's correct. What is giving me this? Where is the mistake coming from? Let's do a quick glance here. Error in value. Ah. Okay, can anyone tell me where that error come from? Because as I'm standing here, I already saw the error, but I want you guys to see why it's very important to.
Is the healthcare, your spelling for healthcare?
Absolutely, yep. That's where the error is coming from. That's a good high catch, okay? So now, as you can see, Excel can be very sensitive, and this goes for everything else that is Python, when you'll be in Tableau, SQL, like when the slightest typo just gives you an error. And when you have a large data codes, it can be very frustrating. But yeah, so now I already have everything here. I sum everything from healthcare data here, from the insurance provider Aetna, and the total billing for Aetna is this is in million, 278,863,102. That's a lot of money. Okay. So now you are a data analyst, okay? And you have this kind of calculation to make. You're not going to retype your formula over and over again, sum if, and so on and so forth. Now, trust me, data analysts, we like things to be straightforward. You do the thing once, and then for everything else is copy and paste or modify. So now I want to know the total billing for each and every one here. Aetna, Blue Cross, Cigna, Medicare, and United Healthcare. Okay. So if you tell yourself, okay, so I'm just going to drag and drop, and then Excel is going to look on the side and then add when it's Blue Cross, you just calculate Cigna, Medicare, United Healthcare. The drag and drop is not wrong to do, but in this specific instance is totally wrong. Why? When you look here, okay, the range for for this one is from J2 to J5501, K2 and K5501. When you come here, now it went, instead of J2, it went from J3 and then it changed to 55502. And then it's still calculating everything as Aetna, which is what we do not want. Okay, so let's go ahead, delete everything here. Okay, now let's fix this. How do you tell Excel that every time you want to make a calculation from these different insurance provider to not change the cell, but always remain into J2 and J55501 and K2 and K55501? In Excel, we have what we call absolute cells, okay? So when there's an absolute cells in your calculation, every time even when you change your row, the main cells will remain the same. It will not change, okay? Let me show you how you do that and what it does, okay? So to have an absolute cell in Excel, I know it's redundant, absolute cell in Excel, but you have to add a $sign before the number, before the letter, okay? And then we will do that here before each one here. Now I have my absolute cell, okay? So I'm going to do again, second step to show you guys, even when we do that, it's still not enough. So what happens here? Now we have our absolute cells, which is J2 to J5501. So Excel did not change that one. Even when I go here, see, it's still counting, it's still taking the range from the absolute cells, okay? So why is it important? Okay, let me first of all delete everything here. See, when we're doing our calculation here, when it came to the criteria, I typed Aetna, okay? So meaning now that I have the absolute cell, even if I scroll down, this formula will only refer to Aetna, okay? And this is not common practice and is not correct as an analyst. And remember in Excel, instead, oops, I need that formula. Instead of typing the actual name Aetna, let's go ahead and type the corresponding cell and see if that's gonna change. Okay. So instead of typing Aetna, let me type cell I4. Okay. Now the number did not change. It's still taking the value from I4, which is Aetna, and then I drag and drop. Now you can see that it's giving me the actual numbers from these different insurance providers. Okay. So when you click here, you can see it's I4. And then when I click here, I5. So Excel will sum everything from the corresponding value that is in here. Okay. So as you can see, we have two missing value here, like it's empty. So why do you think it's empty here? Because these are the names of insurance providers.
Because
What?
there's a type in Cigna and in
Yep,
healthcare.
absolutely. Okay. So now
See,
when I fix my typo here, and then I fix my typo here, now you can see everything is now nice, neat, and clean. Okay. Now, this is better. Why? Because even if I come here instead of Aetna, I type Blue Cross, it will give me the same value as Blue Cross because it's instead of going through what is typed through Aetna, it's just going through the corresponding value that is in the cell. So this is one of the wonders of Excel, and it's really good. So as a data analyst, again, you tap your formula once, and then the remaining is copy and paste, modify, so on and so forth. So now we have everything here. So if you tell yourself, oh, I want to make sure that, oh, this number here match this actual number here. So let's type and let's see if it matches everything. So we are in J4 all the way to J8. Okay, so does this number match this number here?
yes, it does.
Yep, perfect. So that's your quick verification right there that this is correct. So now you can do the same for the number of patients and then max, lowest, and then average. So for today in this class, we're going to do the number of patients, and then we're going to do the highest value, and then for the lowest value and the average, you're going to do it as homework, okay? So we can go over it next week, and then so before we close, I'll need to show you guys something. So I still have a little over 30 minutes here. Okay. So for the number of patients, we're going to do the same thing. Okay. So now, in our data set here, we only have like the first name and the last name. Okay. So normally there should be something like what we call unique identifier. Okay. Unique identifier are like something like the patient ID or insurance ID, like, social security numbers. Those are like what we call unique identifier, meaning it cannot belong to two people at the same time. But for the sake of not having it here, and then we want to count the number of patients, so we're going to use our last name column. So and then it will go ahead and count everything from there. All right. So remember, we use count A. Oh, no. that's not what it did. Okay, you know what? No, let us go ahead and let's do our count if here. I want to see is I'm asking myself a question here. Because here we use count A to count all the patients. So how do we do it here? Okay. You know what? Let's go ahead and do it anyway. So let's see. Let me do count if. Let's see if it works. Okay. So the range was still healthcare data real quick. Again, let's use our absolute cell already. Okay, J2, J5551, and then criteria. Okay. Criteria, let me type I4. Okay. What happened here? Ah, okay. All right. Yeah. I see where we are. So here for a total number of patients, we actually counted, we used the number of last name to calculate the total number of patients. But here, since I'm using the count function, I'm just counting in the insurance provider. Everywhere there is Aetna, that is the corresponding insurance for a patient, for Excel to go ahead and count it. So yes, it did that. So it's 10,915 for Aetna. So in healthcare, absolute value I4. Again, remember your data analyst. So here we already have our absolute value. So the drag and drop here should be legal and valid. Okay. So for Aetna, we have 10,913 patients and then 11,059 for Blue Cross, United Healthcare, 11,105 and 125. Okay, so the total of all these has to match this. So let's see. Okay, so another way that Excel can tell you what is the total of this one here, instead of typing sum to figure out if it matches here, once you select it all and you come down here, okay, it will give you some highest level of number. Okay, so it says we have selected 5 cells and the total of all those cells is 55,500, and then the average is 11,100. So this is also correct. Okay, so now last but not least, okay, before your homework, let's do what is the highest amount that was paid here. Now, we used sum here, we used count. Here, we're going to use sum, we're going to use sum, and here we're going to use average. Okay, so let's go and let's do it real quick. Do the sum. Okay, let's go to healthcare, data. Okay, so I want to put my absolute value for the quick Francis. We're using some. Good. Okay. So we're going to healthcare data. My range, of course, the range for insurance provider is J2 to J 55501. The criteria again, I don't want to go ahead and start typing everything. I4. Wait, hold on. Yes, criteria is I4. I4, okay. All right, so let's see if it works here. And then I have healthcare data. And then some range is in column K2 to K. Okay, let's see if it works. What's going on here? What happens? Healthcare data. Oh, okay, I see. J2. So some if. All right, guys. What do you think is wrong here? Was I continue to type to see if you guys will stop me along the way to let me know that the route that I was taking was not the correct route. So what do you think is wrong here? Because the number that we have here is matching this one here. And we're trying to have the highest function, the highest number. But for some reason, we used some if, but that's not the correct one.
Yeah, it
Correct.
shouldn't be some if.
Max.
Yeah,
To be max, yeah.
yeah. Max is the correct one. So now we have the max number spent in Aetna is 52,764, which matches the highest billing here. Okay, Aetna, quite expensive. So to do that for the rest of them, okay, so let me know what happened here. What do we have the same number over and over again? Okay. Interesting. Cannot be the same for all of them. Something is not. Is there a max if? Because from the get-go, this is not correct. Because when I look at it, it's not supposed to be like that. So what do you think did not work here? Because we want to know the maximum amount spent if the insurance provider is Aetna, Blue Cross, Cigna, Medicare, United Healthcare. Okay, so now this did not work for the simple reason that is going in healthcare data and counts the max of the whole column, but it's not filtering it to Aetna itself. So how do we do that? And we know that in Excel, we have some if, we have count if, but for max, there's no function that is called max if. There's only probably for multiple value, but for a single one, there's no such as max if. So what we will do here, we're going to use the max function, and inside the max function, we're going to use the if function. Okay, so how is that going to work? So we have our max function, very simple. And in our max function, we use if function, okay? So in our if function, we're going to add, so what is the logical text? So we're going to normally go to our healthcare data. Very simple. We're going to put our absolute value of J to very careful typing is the slightest typo will throw everything off. So we have J2, J55501. So we'll tell Excel if J2, J55501 equal equals I. Let's do this equal I4. No, something is wrong here. Something is wrong here. Trying to see. No, this will bring, if I do it this way, it will not, it'll bring an error. I can see it coming already. Let's try to use this max if here. Okay. So let's try to do max if. Let's see if this one give us the maximum for a specific insurance. So the max range will start with A2, healthcare data, 2A. Five, 55501. Okay, so sorry, range one. No. Okay. Too few arguments. Okay, so how do I fix that? How do I fix that here? Because trying to see, this is good troubleshooting because as I was putting it together, I haven't worked on it myself, so I'm learning at the same time as you guys. So what the max if what it does, return the maximum value among cells specified by a given set of condition or criteria. But I only have one condition. I do not have many conditions. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's see if I can use max. And then let's do it this way. Let's see. That's row fcare data to a 555 Okay. So now I have to incorporate the if function here. Change so the logical test I want J2 here data J2 to J 501. Okay, let me see. Let me do it this way. Okay. Already smell an error here. So what is the correction? Is elsewhere. Vietnam. Interesting. So what if I put I4 here instead? Then let's drag and drop and see if it works. Okay. It worked. All right, guys. Sorry, I was doing troubleshooting live. This is how you go about it. So if one thing doesn't work, you go for the next one, and so on and so forth. So what I was trying to do here was to figure out what was the maximum amount spent in these different insurance. Okay. So I started with max if, but then I went to the max if that asked me for many criteria, but I only needed one criteria. So what I did here, I use the max function, and then within the max function, I use the if function. So in the if function, if will ask you what's the logical test, what's the value if true, value if false. But here, I did not need the value if true or false. I only needed the logical test to see if it was going to work. So if instead of max, I went ahead and told Excel to go to the healthcare data to look into our column. If our column match this one, the value that is in I4, to go ahead and look what is the highest value of it from the K column, which is the billing amount, which is what Excel did. And then again, drag and drop. So for the lowest value, you can always use the same formula, but instead of max, you just add min, okay? So another thing here that I want to show you guys, and then let me ask in advance, I wanted to go through a basic VLOOKUP today. So if you guys allow me to have maybe 10 minutes after 2, so by 2:10, I will be done. So if that's okay with you guys, let me know, or if not, then we'll just go ahead and stop it too.
That's okay for me.
That's okay with me as well.
All right, thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. All right, so one thing I want to show you here, if for example, you are, let's say you are too lazy to retype the formula over and over again, okay, what you can do is just copy the cell and you go to the other cell to paste. Pay attention, to paste, instead of pasting using this one or using the value, you will come here, formula. So what Excel will do, it will come here and just type the exact formula that you used here, and then now it's here, okay? Now pay attention here. No, now that your formula is here, you have to know what to change here, okay? You really have to be very careful of what to change. So now here, I'm doing the first one for you guys to show you for the minimum value. So first of all, for the lowest value, we're not using max, but we're using the minimum, okay? And remember, we're not using J4, but we are using I4, okay? So now that I do that, as you can see, it gave me the smallest amount, okay? So of course, this is not formatted in currency, okay? So I think the smaller value come from Aetna, okay? So anyway, let's see. Okay, seems like each of them, the lowest value is a negative number, okay? So this is what it does here. I'm gonna leave it to you guys to do this as homework. And then another thing for the homework, you know, just add I'll send this the instructions. So when I send the instruction, just look at it, and because I want a table here, and I want all the numbers above 0 to be green and the ones below 0 to be red. Okay. All right. So now let's do a quick VLOOKUP function here. Okay. So let's go real quick and create a sheet, and then we'll call it patient search. Okay. So now in our list, patient search, and just give it any color that you want. Okay, I'm gonna change it to gray. Okay, real quick, we're going to use a function in Excel called VLOOKUP. Okay, we're not supposed to use it until later on, but I want to show you guys how to use the VLOOKUP. Okay, so what VLOOKUP does, VLOOKUP goes into your data set and search within a column and return the specific value of the column, the specific value that you are searching for. Okay, so let's see here. We have a data set of 55,000 rows. Okay, and let's say that from this data set, you want to know information about a specific patient. Okay, so before doing that, since we're doing a patient search, okay, let's go ahead and combine these two. Okay, so there's a function in Excel called text join. Okay, delimiter. Oh, no. That's not. I want to concatenate. Okay, so concatenate will just put everything like different text together. Okay, so I want to use A2. I want a space between, and I want B2. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, that's extra space. Do I need? Let's see. Okay, perfect. So what I did, concatenate, I put both, I joined both of them together again. Okay, so let's do that for everybody here. Okay, and then we'll do it again next week. Okay, I'll show you guys. So I just want to do it real quick here. And then let's just put here patient name. Okay. All right. So now here we're gonna use VLOOKUP for the patient search. Okay, let's just create the table real quick. Okay, this is just food for next week to prepare. So we'll just put patient name here, put gender, insurance provider, billing, amounts, and then let's do blood type. Let's see if that will work. Okay, as of today, make your column pretty big. Yeah, let's do it manually. Okay. So VLOOKUP. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm going to use a VLOOKUP function. Okay. That VLOOKUP function will go into the healthcare data set and find the gender based on the name that I am going to type here later on. Okay. So how do I do that? I type VLOOKUP, okay? VLOOKUP value. So the value that I'm going to put in B3. So anything that I'm going to put there. So VLOOKUP asks you for two things. There is the table array, and then there is the column index. What are those? Okay. So what is the table array, and then what is the column index? The table array will be everything here. So from column A1 to column A 55,000, to column, I think it's Q 55,001. But you know, we do not have time to do that, to reselect everything over and over and over again, okay? So what we will do, we're going to name this table array, we're going to give it a name. So how do you do that in Excel? You control and select everything, and on top here, on the top here, on the name tab, you type any name. So I'm going to call this data set, this array health. Okay, I click OK. So now all my selected table here is called health, so that I don't have to reselect everything every time that VLOOKUP asks me for an array. Instead of selecting the table, I'm going to type health. Okay. And to figure out where are the different names of my table, when you come to the formula here, you come to name manager, and then you'll see I have health. Okay. And as you can see, there's a different slicer that we used that are also here. Okay. So the other thing is also to be able to know, because remember, it's asking for the column number. So you have to know the gender is at what column, insurance provider, billing amount, and blood type. Okay. So let's do a count here. So, okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and delete these two because I have my backup. Okay, so gender is 1, 2, blood type 3, no, 1, no, 2, yeah, 3, and then what else? The insurance.
Billing amount.
And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Okay, let me just put those numbers here. 2, 3, 8, 9. Okay, let's see if that's gonna work. Okay, let's go real quick. Here we have 10 minutes left. So when I use VLOOKUP, okay, so I'm telling Excel, look up the value that I'm going to type in B3. Okay, it's empty for now. Table array. Okay, instead of selecting everything, I'm just going to type health. So as you can see, when I type H, health is already here. So Excel went ahead and selected the whole table for me. Okay, sorry, I know it's being a little sensitive here. Okay, so I've selected health, and then the column index is, let's say, column 2. Okay, so the range lookup, always use false for the exact match, and then click OK. So now, so far it's showing me NA because there's nothing here. Okay, so let's type a random name here. Let's type Leslie Terry. Okay. All right, let's see if that works. Leslie, Terry. Okay, so it's not give 62. Okay, so okay, it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this one will be 4. Okay, let's add 1 by each. So this 1, 4, this will be column 9, and that column 10. So instead of 2 here, let's try to put 3, and let's see. Okay, perfect. So now Excel went into the healthcare data sets, the whole array, and look for the gender that is associated with Leslie Terry, and it's giving me male. Okay, so when you go to your main data set, is Leslie Terry a male? Yes. Let's try Danny Smith. Normally should give us female. Okay, so if the number is not there, okay, so perfect. Now we have female Danny Smith. So what you can do for VLOOKUP, I can drag and drop here, but be very careful here to always make sure, okay, you know what? Let me not do it that. That is not how data analysis do. So I'm going to copy, and then here I'm going to paste the function over and over again. Okay, now that I have my function paste, I'm looking up for what I type in column B3, and then I want the insurance provider, column 4. Okay, so A minus, that's not 4. Oh, wait, hold on, insurance provider. Oh gosh, okay, so this will be 4, the blood type, and then insurance provider will be 9, billing amount 10. Okay, let me see if that works. I'm sorry. So this is trying to make sure with Aetna here. Okay, let's continue. I should have started that one. See what's the errors coming from here. I should have made this as an absolute cell. Okay, so it will go and look for that one. Okay, now this is good. Okay, so insurance provider is column 9, and then billing amounts is in column 10, and then the blood type is in column 4. Okay, so let me delete this one. Okay, so you are a data analyst. What we did here, we used the VLOOKUP function. What does VLOOKUP do again? So based on what I write here on the patient name, the VLOOKUP function will go into the health array. And remember, the health array is this, Control A. This is the health array. So instead of typing every time A1 to O5500, all I do is type health. So in the back end, Excel go ahead and select the whole data set for me. And then it asked me for the column. Okay, so that's the tricky part, because you have to exactly know what column is it you want to refer to. So this is the first column, and then second, third, and so on and so forth. Okay, So we ask VLOOKUP to look for Danny Smith in our health array and in column 3. So whatever value is in column 3 and linked to Danny Smith, that's what it's going to return. And it's going to do that for insurance provider, the billing amount, and the blood type, okay? So let's format this one real quick. So this is how you can create a really quick patient search, okay? You work for an hospital, and then you can even add some more stuff here. Let's add one more real quick, okay? So let's say hospital is in 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. So hospital is column 8, and then room number 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so let's do hospital and then room number. Okay, so hospital, say was column 8. Hopefully give us, okay, Danny Smith, okay, Cook PLC is the hospital, and then room number, we fix it, this one to 11. Again, we're going to go over it next week, but I wanted to show you guys, since we were working with data from another worksheet. So this is what it does. So let's say, for example, your supervisor wants data concerning Mary Hunter, okay? You're not gonna go over your worksheet and start looking for Mary Hunter. So like, how are you even gonna start, even if you filter it here, okay? So now that you have your self-built patient search, you can just type here, Mary Hunter, and then pay attention, everything here will change to match the details of Mary Hunter. Okay, she's still a female. Her insurance provider is Cigna, the billing amount, the blood type, okay, the hospital, make it a little bigger. And then she was in room number 2023, okay? And then you can make it very nice and neat, okay? I'll show you, I'll explain to you guys how to do it. So I'm just making something real from a table. Yes, my table is header. Okay, and then I remove my grid lines. So yeah, now you have your patient search. Your patient, yeah, it will not show anything because nothing is here. So you can, let's say, Timothy Burns. Okay, let's type here, Mr. Timothy Burns. Okay, did I type it wrong? Yes or no? Timothy Burns. Okay, I typed it correctly. So what went wrong here? Is it because I formatted as a table? No. Okay, let me see here if I type in Timothy. Okay, so I think because I formatted it as a table, that's why. So let me do it the manual way. Okay. All right. Making my top here. Real nice. Okay. Bold. All right. Okay, so now let me try again here and see if it works. So let's say Nicole Rodriguez. Let's see if we're going to find Nicole Rodriguez. Perfect. Okay. So this is, you can call it your self-made patient search. Okay, so you don't have to go through your whole data set and start scrolling down through VLOOKUP. You can just type the name of the patient and then it will give you everything. Okay, so I know it was a lot to learn for today. Okay, this one we'll do it again next week. I'm gonna restart it from scratch. Just focus on doing the homework for this one, and then next week we'll build from this and go on. So yeah, this is where Excel start getting a bit technical, but trust me, if you practice, it will become very easy for you. Okay, any question? Okay, all right, so yeah, go ahead.
The slicing was exciting. What was exciting for me? Very
Oh,
exciting.
this last thing. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, this one is
Yeah.
very,
Was very technical. Very technical. My
very
question,
just.
yeah, my question was on the substitute at the beginning. I noticed when you remove miss when you're doing substitute, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did mine like Bobby Smith was on your raw data, healthcare data, the backup. Bobby Jackson was at the top. And when you did the data as well, Bobby Jackson was always at the top. But mine was different. When I removed miss using the substitute, when I looked at my data, there was a totally different name. Maybe I did something wrong. So I'll look at the
Okay.
video. If I have any questions, I'll come back to you.
Okay, all right,
I'll
no
relook at it.
problem. Okay, no problem. Okay, so this is the file that I've been using. I can share it with you guys.
Okay, that'll help.
Let me actually do it right now. So as you practice from everything that we have done, okay, you can just come in here and maybe look at the formula and see what we did. And then, yeah, so thank you guys for your attention, your participation. It's very encouraging. And then, yeah, giving me some strength to give you guys the best that I can by God's grace. So